Hey everyone, greetings and welcome to this video. I hope you enjoyed today's chapter. If you're liking it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Without further ado, enjoy the video.
Chapter 3. A collision that smells and tastes like memories. Monday, April 6, 1992, 2:30 p.m., 7 p.m. The dismissal bell was still echoing through the hallways when the four girls walked through the main gate of Jubin School. The afternoon sun, already leaning toward the west, bathed the courtyard in a lazy golden glow. A group of upperclassmen clustered near the baseball club lockers. Two first-year girls were commenting about a new teacher, laughing quietly. School life continued its course, oblivious to the small cataclysm that had just occurred in a secret garden. "I'm going to the library," Ami announced, adjusting her backpack strap on her shoulder. "I want to look up a couple of books on astronomy." What Shiba-kun said about the planets left me thinking. Did he say something about the planets? Asked Usagi, who didn't remember anything from the conversation beyond the Madkarans and Mamoru's laugh. He mentioned that Jupiter has more than 60 moons. That's data I haven't updated. I want to verify it. Red snorted, brushing a strand of her long black hair aside. "I'm going back to the shrine. My grandfather wants me to help him sort some new amulets. Apparently, spring brings many superstitious visitors." "They're not superstitious," Makoto corrected her, with a smile. "They're just looking for a little hope." "That's not bad. Hope, money, it's all the same to grandfather." Makoto laughed. Then, she turned to Usagi. "And you, Usagi, want to come to my place? I bought ingredients to make magic cookies. I thought we could practice for when we invite Shiba-kun over to eat." Makoto's proposal still hung in the air, fresh as a promise. Inviting Mamoru Shiba to her house. Cooking together. Sharing a meal. The four of them. And him. The idea was as tempting as it was terrifying. Usagi opened her mouth to respond, but the words got stuck in her throat. Well, I have to." "Oh, you have to what?" asked Rei, raising an eyebrow. "Things. I have to do things. At my house. With my mother. Mother-daughter things." Rei looked at her with narrowed eyes. Ami blinked, analyzing the obvious lie. Makoto shrugged, not giving it much importance. "Well, another day then. See you tomorrow, Usagi." "Yes. Tomorrow. Bye." The three left, each in a different direction. Ami toward the library, with a calm step and a mind full of data to verify. Rei toward the bus stop, back straight and brow furrowed, as if the entire world owed her an explanation. Makoto toward the supermarket, whistling a song she'd heard on the radio. And Usagi was left alone. The school courtyard slowly emptied. The last groups of students dispersed into the streets of Azajubin. The sun continued its slow descent, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. A gentle breeze stirred the branches of the cherry trees lining the entrance path. Some laid petals detached and floated in the air, like small fragments of a dream. Usagi sighed. She wasn't in a hurry. Her mother wouldn't expect her until dinner time. Her brother Shingo would be locked in his room, playing video games or reading manga. Her father would come home late, as always, with his wrinkled suit and the tired look of a Japanese office worker. No one would notice her absence for a couple of hours. She started walking. Aimlessly. Without a destination. Letting her feet carry her through the familiar streets of her neighborhood, the ones she'd walked 1,000 times on the way to school, to the candy store, to Naru's house. But today everything seemed slightly different. The colors were brighter. The sounds, softer. The air smelled better. As if the world had agreed to be a little more beautiful. Or as if she were seeing it with different eyes. Mamoru Shiba. The name echoed in her mind like a catchy song. She couldn't stop repeating it. Mamoru Shiba. Shiba Mamoru. Memo-chan. No, that last one was too intimate. Not yet. But it sounded nice. Memo-chan. Soft. Warm. Like him. "Oh, Usagi. What's wrong with you?" "He's just a boy. A very tall boy. With snow hair. And jewel eyes. And a cello voice. And an angel's laugh. He makes macarons. And draws manga. And chokes like a kitten. And, oh." She brought her hands to her cheeks. They were burning. She was sure that if someone saw her at that moment, they'd think she had a fever. Or that she'd swallowed an entire red pepper. Was it normal to feel like this? So full, so floaty, so stupid. Probably not. But she didn't care. For the first time in a long time, Yusuke Tsukuno felt happy. Not the noisy happiness of eating a giant ice cream. Not the fleeting happiness of scraping a passing grade on an exam. It was a quiet, warm happiness that filled her chest like a helium balloon. As if something inside her had finally clicked into place. She turned a corner without looking. And crashed into a wall. That's what she thought first. That she'd crashed into a wall. Because the impact was solid, firm, immovable. But walls didn't smell like vanilla and sandalwood. Walls didn't have a soft, warm texture beneath uniform fabric. Walls didn't make a click inside her, as if a lost key had finally found its lock. Her arms, moved by an instinct that bypassed her brain altogether, closed around whatever she'd hit. She clung to it like a castaway to a raft. Like a koala to a tree. Like a clumsy girl who'd crashed into something again and couldn't even be bothered to feign surprise anymore. Only this time, it wasn't a something. It was a someone. Yusuke blinked. Her eyes, which had closed from the impact, slowly opened. The first thing she saw was fabric. Navy blue school uniform fabric. Right at the level of her nose. She looked up. More fabric. A chest. Broad. Firm. It outlined beneath the white shirt with a definition that shouldn't be legal for a 14-year-old boy. She kept looking up. A neck. A sharp jawline, the kind that appeared in men's fashion magazines she secretly flicked through at the hair salon. A straight, perfect nose, as if drawn by an artist. And finally, eyes. One pinkish violet eye, deep as a cotton-candy galaxy. One blue-green eye, shifting like the sea in an Okinawa postcard. They were looking at her. Directly. Steadily. With a mixture of surprise, confusion, and something more. Something Yusuke couldn't identify because her brain had completely shut down. It was him. Mamoru. She, Yusuke Tsukuno, the clumsiest girl in the known universe, was hugging Mamoru around the waist. In the middle of the street. For no reason. As if it were the most normal thing in the world. As if her arms had decided on their own that this was their place. And the worst. The best. The most terrifying and wonderful. He was holding her too. His arms had moved on their own. He hadn't hugged her. Not exactly. He'd simply enveloped her. His hands, large and warm, had gently settled on her back, creating a protective barrier around her. As if he feared something might hurt her. As if he needed to have her close. Very close. His arms were an improvised refuge, a circle of safety that contained her without squeezing, that protected her without forcing. And she was inside. The world stopped. The street, the cars, the passers-by, the sound of the city, everything disappeared. It faded into a blurry, irrelevant background. Only the two of them existed. Their bodies, brushing through the fabric of their uniforms. Their warmth, mixing in the scant space between them. Their gazes, hooked onto each other as if an invisible thread had sewn them together. Yusuke's eyes, huge and blue as the sky on a perfect day, locked onto Mamoru's heterochromatic eyes. He looked down at her. The height difference was abysmal, almost comical. She had to tilt her head back completely to hold his gaze, as if gazing at the crown of an ancient tree. He had to tilt his down, as if peering into a well of crystalline water. And in that impossible angle, in that absolute closeness, in the brush of souls through the windows of their eyes, something happened. A flash. An echo. A silent jolt that ran through their bodies like a low-intensity electric current. It wasn't a memory. It wasn't a concrete image. It was a feeling. A wordless certainty. And I know you rising from some deep, ancient place, from the time when their souls had danced together beneath another moon, in another world, in another life. I know you. I've always known you. At last. Time stretched like taffy. 1 second. 2. 3. An eternity compressed into a single meeting of eyes. Yusuke could see the tiny gold flecks speckling Mamoru's pink iris. She could see the reflection of her own face, astonished and flushed, in the mirror of his pupils. She could feel the slight tremor of his arms, holding out with infinite delicacy, as if she were made of porcelain. She could smell his scent, that scent of vanilla, sandalwood, chocolate, and sea breeze, now enveloping her completely, entering her lungs and blood and soul. It's him. It's him. It's him. The words echoed in her head like a mantra. She didn't know why. She didn't know where they came from. But she knew it. With absolute, irrational certainty. It was him. The one she'd been waiting for without knowing she was waiting. The one filling a void she didn't even know she had. The one making our heart beat in that strange, wonderful way. Mamoru, for his part, was fighting his own internal battle. What is this? His arms had encircled her without his permission. His body had reacted before his mind could process what was happening. A primal, ancient instinct he didn't remember having. Protect. Care for. Don't let anything or anyone hurt her. Her. This petite girl, with her ridiculous buns and immense eyes, who had crashed into his chest like a small blunt comet. Tosuke-no-san. Usage. Her name echoed in his mind with an unsettled unfamiliarity. It wasn't the first time he'd seen her. He'd seen her in class, at the ceremony, in the garden. But it was the first time he'd truly seen her. The first time their eyes met like this, without barriers, without distractions. And what he saw, light. He saw light. A warm, pure, bright light emanating from her blue eyes and enveloping him completely. A light that reminded him of something. Something he'd lost. Something he'd yearned for without knowing it. Something he suddenly needed with every fiber of his being. Who are you? Why do I feel like I know you? Why do I feel like I've loved you forever? The thought hit him like a tidal wave. Loved her? He'd just met her. He knew nothing about her. Only that she ate like a vacuum cleaner, that she blushed easily, that she had a distinctive hairstyle, and that she'd laughed with him in a secret garden. That wasn't a basis for, but his arms didn't move. His eyes didn't look away. His heart, the one he thought so well guarded behind years of solitude and self-sufficiency, beat with a new, unknown, exciting rhythm. Oh, what a lovely couple. The crackly, cheerful voice pierced the bubble like a pin. Usagi and Mamoru blinked in unison. The spell broke. Reality pushed its way back in. So young and already so in love. Enjoy it, youth flies by so fast. A tiny old woman, with a plaid shopping cart and a toothless smile, was walking past them. She gave them a playful wink. Then, she continued on her way, dragging her cart and murmuring something about spring loves. The silence that followed was deafening. Usagi was the first to react. She became aware, all at once and with a jolt, of her position. Her arms, around Mamoru's waist. Her body, pressed against his. Her face, mere centimeters from his chest. A chest that, by the way, was surprisingly firm and warm. The color rose to her cheeks like an unstoppable tide. From pale pink to intense crimson in a matter of nanoseconds. She let go of Mamoru as if he were on fire. She stepped back, tripping over her own feet. Her arms flailed in the air like windmill blades, searching for an equilibrium that refused to come. A hand caught her elbow. Firm. Warm. Sure. Mamoru. He'd caught her before she fell backward. His face, normally serene and impassive, showed a slight pink tint on his ears. His heterochromatic eyes looked at her with a mixture of concern and something akin to amusement. Careful, Tosuke-no-san. We wouldn't want you to fall twice in 1 minute. His voice was soft. Velvety. With a slight tremor at the end, as if he, too, were processing what had just happened. Usagi could only nod, mute. Her throat had closed up. Her brain had melted. Her knees were jelly. The only thing still working were her eyes, still fixed on his, unable to look away. Mamoru let her go. Slowly. As if it cost him effort. He stepped back, creating a prudent distance between them. The air between their bodies was dense, charged with static electricity and everything they hadn't said. Another silence. Longer. Thicker. Say something, Usagi. Say something. Anything. Don't just stand there like an idiot. Ask him something. Anything. Save the situation. Chiba-kun, her voice came out like the chirp of a frightened baby bird. What are you doing around here? Really? That's the best you could come up with. This is a public street. He can be around here because he feels like it. But Mamoru didn't seem bothered by the question. On the contrary. His slightly tense shoulders relaxed a bit. As if the question had given him something to hold on to. I was looking for a cafe. His voice was softer than usual. His eyes glanced away toward the street for a moment, then returned to her. I felt like something sweet. But I don't know the area well. I've been wondering for a while. He paused. His heterochromatic eye settled on her with an intensity that made her shiver. "And you, Tosuke-san? Were you going somewhere?" Usage's brain stopped. "A cafe? Something sweet?" That was exactly what. No. She didn't think. The words left her mouth on their own, propelled by a force she didn't know she had. A force that came from that same deep, ancient place from which the I know you had emerged. I know one. A really good cafe. They have the best pastries in the world. And ice cream. And crepes. And everything is delicious. I can take you. Silence. The words floated in the air, like soap bubbles about to pop. Usage processed what she'd just said. She'd just offered Mamoru Chiba, the most handsome boy in the universe, to take him to a cafe. Alone. Just the two of them. Like hey. No. She wasn't going to think about the D word. No. 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 Mamoru looked at her. His lips, those rosy, perfect lips, slowly curved. It wasn't a polite smile. It wasn't a distant smile. It was a beautiful smile. Warm. Genuine. Bright. It illuminated his entire face. His heterochromatic eyes sparkled with a soft light, like two jewels in the sun. "I'd love that, Tosuke-san. Thank you." Usage's heart stopped for an nanosecond. Then, it accelerated to a dangerous rhythm, pumping hot blood to her cheeks, her ears, her fingertips. He'd said yes. He'd smiled. A beautiful smile. For her. Because of her. "Oh, okay. Then, follow me." She turned and started walking. She couldn't see where she was going. Her eyes were clouded by a haze of happiness and nerves. She just walked, back straight and head high, praying not to crash into anything else. Or to crash into him again. No. Better not. Or yes. Oh. Mamoru positioned himself beside her. She was painfully aware of his presence. Of his eyes. He towered over her, by her whole head, and her neck, and part of her torso. How could anyone be so tall at 14? Of his scent, vanilla, sandalwood, chocolate, sea breeze, enveloping her like a warm blanket, like an invisible hug. Of the slight brush of their sleeves as they walked close together. And then, Usage noticed something. Mamoru was matching his steps to hers. He, who walked with long, fluid strides, typical of someone who wasn't in a hurry but didn't waste time either, was now taking shorter steps. Slower. In rhythm with hers. To avoid leaving her behind. To walk beside her. Not in front. Not behind. Beside her. Usage's heart melted a little more. He's doing it on purpose. He's adjusting his steps to mine. So I don't fall behind. So I don't have to run. To walk with me. It was such a small, subtle gesture that most people wouldn't even have noticed. But Usage noticed. And it meant more to him than any grand declaration. Because it told her, without words, that he saw her. That he cared. That he wanted to be by her side. They began walking through the streets of Azajuban. The afternoon sun tinted the buildings in warm tones. Shop windows glowed with a cozy light. People came and went, busy with their own lives. And the two of them, an incredibly tall white-haired boy and a petite girl with ridiculous buns, walked together. It was then that Usage started noticing the other thing. The stairs. At first, she thought it was her imagination. That she was so focused on Mamoru that she was seeing things that weren't there. But no. They were real. Girls her age, walking in groups, fell silent as they passed. Their conversations stopped mid-sentence. Their eyes widened. Then, after Mamoru had passed, they leaned toward each other and to whisper, cheeks flushed, eyes furtive. Adult women, with shopping bags and the tired look of those who'd worked all day, turned as they passed, mouths slightly open. One of them, talking on a Python, went mute mid-sentence. Another, walking a dachshund, completely forgot about the animal, who took the opportunity to sniff a bush with enthusiasm. Even a little girl, holding our mother's hand, pointed at Mamoru with her finger and said aloud, with a brutal honesty, "Children. Mommy, look." A prince. The mother, the young woman with a kind face, followed the direction of her daughter's finger. She saw Mamoru. Her cheeks tinted with a slight blush. She tugged her daughter's hand, murmuring an unintelligible apology, and quickened her pace. Mamoru didn't seem to notice any of it. Or perhaps he was so used to these kinds of reactions that he no longer registered them. He walked with his eyes forward, oblivious to the small cataclysm of sighs and stares left in his wake. His expression was serene, neutral, as if the world around him was just another landscape. But Yusuf didn't notice. And she felt something strange. Something she'd never felt before. A pang in her chest. Not pain. Not exactly. It was pride. Possessiveness. She couldn't define it. It was a warm, slightly absurd sensation that filled her stomach with butterflies. As if, by the simple act of walking beside him, Mamoru were a little bit hers. He's mine. Well, not mine. But I'm with him. Me. Yusuf Tsukino. The clumsy one. The creepy. The one who fails English. The one who walks into lampposts. And he's walking beside me. Matching his steps to mine. With his snow hair and his jewel eyes and his elegant pastry shop scent. And all those girls are looking at him and sighing. But he's walking with me. So, yeah. A little bit mine. She straightened up. Walked a little taller. She even allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction, that silly, adorable smile she wore when she felt happy without quite knowing why. They passed by a small florist shop. A tiny storefront, wedged between a record store and a bakery. In the window, an explosion of colors. Red roses, white, yellow, purple lilies, white daisies. And in the center, a bouquet of pale pink roses, almost ethereal, glowing in the evening light. Mamoru stopped. Usage, lost in our cloud of happiness, took a second to react. She turned around. Saw him standing in front of the window, his gaze fixed on the roses. His expression had changed. It was no longer serene. It was melancholic. His heterochromatic eyes, normally bright and curious, had grown distant, as if they were looking at something only he could see. Chiba-kun. Do you like roses? The question left her lips before she could think whether it was too personal. Mamoru nodded, not taking his eyes off the flowers. Yes. Very much. I don't know why. They remind me of something. Of a dream I sometimes have. A dream? Yes. A garden. Full of roses. Golden roses. And a voice. A voice calling me. But I never understand what it's saying. Usage didn't ask anymore. She didn't know what to say. But she stored the information in her heart, like a tiny treasure. He likes roses. He has dreams about golden roses. A voice calls him. It was a mystery. And she loved mysteries. They kept walking. They passed by a pet shop. Behind the glass, a litter of kittens played in a small padded enclosure. They were various colors. One black, one white, one orange, one gray tabby. They chased each other, rolled around, attacked a ball of yarn with adorable ferocity. Mamoru crouched down. He squatted in front of the window, bringing his eyes level with the kittens. His expression, which moments ago had been melancholic, softened completely. A tender, almost childlike smile spread across his lips. His heterochromatic eyes followed the kittens' movements with a gleam of pure adoration. They're adorable, he murmured, more to himself than to her. Usage crouched beside him. She wasn't looking at the cats. She was looking at him. She saw his smile, that smile so different from the polite classroom smile. She saw the tenderness in his eyes, the way his face lit up at the sight of the animals. And she thought, with absolute certainty, that he was more adorable than all the kittens in the world combined. He likes cats. He likes roses. He makes macarons. He draws manga. He laughs alone. He chokes like a kitten. He matches his steps to mine. He called me the girl with the dumpling buns and said it suits me. How am I supposed to not fall in love with him? It wasn't a question. It was a surrender. They stood up and kept walking. The sun was already low, almost grazing the rooftops. The light had turned golden and melancholic, the light of photographers and poets. The streets were quieter. The bustle of the afternoon gave way to the soft silence of dusk. It's here, said Usage, pointing to a small storefront on a side alley. It was a tiny cafe, hidden like a secret. The facade was cream-painted wood, with a red and white striped awning that gave it a retro, cozy feel. In the window, a display of cakes, tarts, and sweets that looked like it came from a dream. A cheesecake with a shiny glaze. A chocolate cake with cocoa shavings. Strawberry crepes topped with a mountain of whipped cream. Pastel-colored macarons, perfectly aligned like edible jewels. Ice cream in every imaginable flavor. Paradise. Yusuke was sure that this was paradise. Mamoru opened the door. A little bell jingled above their heads. He stepped aside and let her pass with a gentlemanly gesture. After you, Tosuke-no-san. She passed by, brushing against him slightly as she did. A shiver ran down her back. Not from cold. From something much warmer and more dangerous. The interior of the cafe was even cozier than the exterior. Warm lights, the kind that made everyone look more handsome. Dark wooden tables, worn from use. Wicker chairs with colored cushions. On the walls, paintings of bucolic landscapes and shelves full of old books. An aroma of freshly brewed coffee, vanilla, and cinnamon enveloped everything, like a hug. There weren't many people. An elderly couple in the corner, sharing a slice of cake in silence, with the complicity of those who would spend a lifetime together. A female university student with a thick book and a cup of tea, lost in her own world. And the two of them. Mamoru chose a table by the window. The golden evening light filtered through the glass, creating a small, intimate, warm setting. They sat down, facing each other. Mamoru's knees, due to his height, lightly brushed against Yusuke's under the table. She flinched. He didn't seem to notice. Or maybe he pretended not to. "Thank you for bringing me, Tosuke-no-san," said Mamoru, in the velvety voice she liked so much. "This place is perfect." "As if thank you, I'm treating." "Order whatever you want." Yusuke opened her mouth to protest. To say no, that it wasn't necessary, that she could pay her share. That's what independent, modern girls did, right? Split the bill. But then, like a bucket of cold water, reality hit her. She didn't have a single yen on her. She'd completely forgotten. Between the morning rush, the crash with Mamoru, the secret garden, classes, the second crash with Mamoru, she'd forgotten to take her weekly allowance that her mother left on the kitchen table. She was broke. Penniless. Ruined. Embarrassment washed over her like a wave. She felt her cheeks burn. She wanted the ground to swallow her. How could she be so stupid? How could she forget something as basic as money? Right now. Right in front of him. Mamoru, oblivious to her internal drama, had already unfolded the menu and was looking at it with a raised eyebrow. The one above the green eye. The pink one remained neutral, waiting. "What do you feel like, Tosuke-no-san?" His tone was warm. Not a trace of judgment. Without the condescension Yusuke was so used to receiving when she messed up. She swallowed. Pride was important. But the pastries at Sweet Heaven were more important. And the hunger she suddenly felt, a hunger that wasn't just for food, but for something more, for continuing to share this moment with him, was even more important. "Well, if you don't mind," she murmured, not daring to look him in the eye. "I don't mind," he interrupted her, with a soft smile. "In fact, I'm glad. I like sharing food. It tastes better." Yusuke looked up. She looked at him. She saw his heterochromatic eyes, shining with a warm light under the cafe's dim lighting. She saw his smile, that beautiful smile that seemed reserved only for her. And she knew, with absolute certainty, that he meant it. That it wasn't just a courtesy phrase. That he really liked sharing food with her. Free from financial guilt, and with her heart a little fuller, Yusuke pounced on the menu like a hawk on its prey. "I want the cheesecake. And the chocolate cake. And the strawberry crepes with whipped cream. And the vanilla ice cream with maple syrup. And, oh, they have macarons. Like yours. I want to try them to compare. And a strawberry milkshake. And, what's this? Red velvet cake. I want it. And..." Mamoru let her talk. He didn't interrupt her. He didn't roll his eyes. He didn't comment on her excessive appetite. He simply watched her. With an expression that was a mixture of amusement, wonder, and tenderness. His lips curved into a half-smile. His heterochromatic eyes followed the movement of her hands, pointing at the menu with enthusiasm. When Yusuke finally ran out of bread and pastries to point at, Mamoru raised a hand to call the waiter. The young man, with a sleepy look, approached with a napkin. "Excuse me," said Mamoru, with a calmness that contrasted so much with Yusuke's excitement. "We'll take one of everything on the dessert menu. And 2 teas. 1 green for me. And 1," he looked at Yusuke, eyebrow raised. "Sweet for you, Tosuke-no-san." She nodded, unable to speak. "1 of everything." He ordered 1 of everything. For me. Well, for both of us. But mostly for me. The waiter looked at them with eyes like saucers. He opened his mouth, as if to ask if they were sure. Then, he saw Mamoru's expression, serene, immovable, and usages, happy, radiant, like a child in a candy store. He closed his mouth, nodded, took note and left, murmuring something about teenagers and their metabolisms. While they waited, they began to talk. At first, shyly. Usage fiddled with the edge of her napkin. Mamoru looked out the window, as if the streets of Azajub at dusk were the most fascinating show in the world. The silence between them was dense, heavy with everything that hadn't been said since the collision. It was Mamoru who broke it. Tosuke-no-san. What are your favorite subjects? Usage made a face. Such an expressive, exaggerated face that Mamoru couldn't help but let out a little laugh. That soft, bell-like laugh. None, she confessed, with total sincerity. Well, recess. And lunch. Those are my favorites. Mamoru laughed again. Louder this time. His heterochromatic eyes narrowed. His shoulders shook slightly. It was a genuine, contagious laugh, filling the small space of the cafe with unexpected warmth. You're very honest, Tosuke-no-san. It's refreshing. Usage blushed. No one had ever told her that her honesty was refreshing. Usually, they told her she was a leadmouth, that she didn't think before she spoke, that she put her foot in it. But he saw it as something good. Something valuable. And you, Chiba-kun? She dared to ask, in a small voice. What are your favorites? Languages. I'm fascinated by them. I learn on my own. English, French, Spanish, German, Italian, Chinese, Korean, Russian. He paused, as if mentally counting. 18, so far. Usage's mouth fell open. 18. 18 languages. She could barely manage English. And he spoke 18. As if it were nothing. That's amazing. How can you learn so many? Don't they get mixed up? Sometimes, he admitted, with a smile. But it's like music. Each language has its own rhythm, its own melody. Once you catch it, you never forget it. Music. Do you play music too? A little. Guitar, violin, piano. It helps me. He hesitated for a moment. Clear my thoughts. Usage looked at him, entranced. She didn't understand half of what he was saying. Esperanto? What was Esperanto? But she loved listening to him talk. His voice was like a musical instrument. Soft. Deep. With a velvety timbre that tickled her stomach. She could spend hours listening to him, even if she didn't understand a single word. The waiter arrived with the tea. 2 steaming cups. 1 green tea for him. 1 sweet milk tea for her. And then, the desserts began to arrive. One after another. The cheesecake, creamy and perfect, with a lemon glaze that shone under the light. The chocolate cake, dark and dense, with cocoa shadings and a raspberry sauce that drew hard on the plate. The strawberry crepes, thin as paper, filled with whipped cream and topped with fresh strawberries and strawberry syrup. The vanilla ice cream, creamy and smooth, bathed in maple syrup with caramelized walnuts. The macarons, pastel-colored, identical to the ones Mamoru had brought to the secret garden. The red velvet cake, with its characteristic scarlet color and cream cheese frosting. And more. Much more. The table filled with plates. Colors. Textures. Aromas. It was a feast. A banquet. A dream come true for any dessert lover. Usage attacked the cheesecake with gusto. The first bite was an explosion of flavor on her palate. Creamy, sweet, with a tangy touch of lemon. She closed her eyes and moaned with pleasure. This is heaven. I'm in heaven. When she opened her eyes, Mamoru was looking at her. He wasn't eating. Just looking at her. With an expression Usage couldn't decipher. His heterochromatic eyes shone with a soft light. His lips were curved in a half-smile. He seemed fascinated. Tosuke-no-san, he said, in that velvety voice. It's a pleasure watching you eat. You enjoy it so much that it makes the food taste better. Usage choked. Not on food. On her own words. She brought a hand to her chest. Coughed a couple of times. Took a sip of her sweet tea. The hot liquid soothed her throat. I like eating. A lot. It's the best thing in the world. I agree, said Mamoru, nodding. Food is one of the best things in life. And sharing it makes it even better. He took a bite of one of the macarons. The pink one. He chewed slowly. Closed his eyes for a moment, savoring. Then, nodded with approval. It's good. But mine are better. Usagi burst out laughing. She couldn't help it. The way he'd said it, with a mix of humility and pride, was so Mamoru. He laughed too. Their laughs mingled, filling the small cafe with contagious joy. The elderly couple in the corner looked at them and smiled knowingly. The university student looked up from her book and offered a half-smile, before diving back into her pages. Mamoru told her anecdotes about his culinary disasters with savory food. The time he tried to make miso soup and the result was an inedible brown liquid that even stray cats wouldn't try. The time he burned a frying pan trying to fry an egg and had to throw it away because the bottom had fused to it forever. The time he confused salt with sugar and ruined a meatloaf that was supposed to be his masterpiece. Usagi laughed out loud. So hard she almost fell off her chair. Tears welled in her eyes. She held her stomach, sore from laughing. Mamoru laughed too. Their laughs were different. Usagi's, loud, explosive, contagious. Mamoru's, soft, like bells, but equally genuine. At one point, while Usagi attacked the red velvet cake, Mamoru leaned across the table. His heterochromatic eyes fixed on her face. His hand rose, slowly. Usagi froze. Fork halfway to her mouth. A smear of cream cheese frosting had ended up on the corner of her lips. Mamoru picked up a napkin. With infinite delicacy, as if handling a work of art, he wiped the smear away. His fingers brushed her cheek. It was a light touch, barely a whisper of skin against skin. But Usagi felt it like an electric shock. Her heart stopped. The world stopped. Only the point of contact existed, that fleeting brush, and Mamoru's eyes, looking at her with an intensity that left her breathless. There, he said, with a soft smile. I didn't want you to stay in your uniform. He withdrew his hand. Went back to his green tea. As if nothing had happened. But for Usagi, everything had happened. The gesture was so simple, so human, so intimate. He'd cared about a smear on her face. He'd used a napkin to clean it. He touched her. Without asking permission. Without it being necessary. Simply because he'd wanted to. And it was in that moment, in the tiny cafe in Ezajuban, between laughs and pastries and a smear of frosting, that Usagi Tsukino knew it. With absolute, irrefutable certainty that filled her chest with an unfamiliar warmth. I'm in love. I've fallen in love with Mamoru Chida. With a white-haired boy who makes macarons and draws manga. Who laughs like an angel and chokes like a kitten. Who matches his steps to mine and holds the door for me. Who treated me to dinner and said my honesty is refreshing. Who wiped a smear off my face as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I'm in love. Totally, absolutely, irremediably in love. She didn't say it out loud, of course. But her eyes, those huge blue eyes that had never known how to lie, screamed it silently. And Mamoru, who was watching her over the rim of his teacup, saw something in them. Something that made his own heart, the one he thought so well guarded behind years of solitude, skip a strange beat. Neither of them said anything. It wasn't necessary. They kept eating. Kept laughing. Kept talking about everything and nothing. About their dreams. About their fears. About the small things that made life worth living. Time flew. The evening light slowly faded, giving way to the soft dusk. The street lamps came on, casting yellow halos of light on the pavement. When they finally left the cafe, the sky was already dark. The first timid stars were beginning to shine overhead. The air smelled of spring, of jasmine and damp earth. The street was quiet, dotted with the warm lights of the lampposts. Mamoru stopped in front of her. He looked at her. His face, illuminated by the soft light of a nearby lamppost, looked even more beautiful. His heterochromatic eyes shone with a soft light. Tsukino-san. Thank you. Truly. This was the best afternoon I've had in a long time. His voice was a whisper. Warm. Sincere. Usagi felt her heart swell until it nearly burst. Don't mention it. Thank you for treating me. I had a really good time too. Really. Too good. Mamoru smiled. That beautiful smile she liked so much. I'm glad. Shall I walk you home? It's getting late. Yusa just shook her head, even though every cell in her body screamed yes. She wanted to stretch the moment. Wanted to walk beside him a little longer. Wanted to hear his voice, smell his scent, feel the brush of his sleeve. But she didn't want to ever it. Didn't want him to think she was being clingy. No, that's okay. I live nearby. I can go alone. Mamoru nodded, accepting her decision without argument. He didn't insist. Didn't pressure her. He simply respected it. Then, see you tomorrow, Tosuke-no-san. He gave a slight bow of his head. A formal gesture, but charged with a warmth that belied his apparent coolness. He turned and began to walk. His tall figure and white hair receded down the street, bathed in the light of the lampposts. Yusa just stood planted on the sidewalk, watching him. She clenched her fists tightly at her sides. Her heart beat strongly, pumping a mixture of happiness, melancholy, and a new, bright hope. Tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Memo-chan. The last word echoed in her mind. A nickname. Intimate. Soft. Perfect. She hadn't said it out loud yet. But she felt it. He was her Memo-chan. The white-haired boy with jewel eyes. The one who made macarons and drew manga. The one who laughed like an angel and choked like a kitten. The one who matched his steps to hers. The one who treated her to dinner and wiped a smear off her face. The one who made her feel seen, valued, special. Her Memo-chan. She turned and started walking home. Floating. Literally. Her feet barely touched the ground. Her face was lit by a goofy, permanent, adorable smile. People who passed her looked at her curiously. A little girl told her mother, "Mommy, that girl looks like a cartoon character." Yusuke didn't hear her. She was in her own world. Reliving every moment of the afternoon. The collision. The almost hug. The looks. The cafe. The letter. His eyes. His smile. The brush of his fingers on her cheek. Mamoru-chita. Memo-chan. Mine. She arrived home. Her mother greeted her with a shout from the kitchen. Usage. You're late. Dinner. Yusa just floated into the kitchen. Her mother, Akiko, stood at the stove, stirring a pot of curry. Her father, Kenji, read the newspaper at the table. Her brother Shinka played with his Game Boy, oblivious to the world. Sorry, Mom. I got distracted, said Usage in a strangely soft voice. Her mother turned. Looked at her with narrowed eyes. She knew her daughter. Knew that I got distracted wasn't part of her usual vocabulary. Usage was late because she overslept, because she got lost, because she met a cat and forgot the time. Never because she got distracted. You got distracted? Doing what? Things. School stuff. Friends. Akiko raised an eyebrow. Saw her daughter's expression. That silly smile. That gleam in her eyes. That permanent blush on her cheeks. She sniffed the air like a bloodhound. It didn't smell like pastries. It smelled of vanilla, sandalwood, a strange, masculine scent she didn't recognize. Usage, have you been with a boy? The question landed like a bomb. Shingo looked up from his console with sudden interest. Kenji lowered his newspaper, frowning. A boy. Exclaimed Kenji. My little girl with a boy. No. No. No way. He's just a classmate. Nothing more. He bought me tea. That's all. He's not a boy. Well, he is a boy, but he's not my boy. He's just a classmate. She ran up the stairs before the interrogation could continue. Slammed her bedroom door shut. Threw herself on the bed. Covered her face with a pillow. Screamed. A muffled scream, full of pent-up emotion, overflowing happiness, a new and bright hope. Then, she uncovered her face. Looked out the window. The sky was dark. Stars shone overhead. And one, brighter than the others, seemed to wink at her. Please. Let tomorrow be just as wonderful. And the day after. And the next. Let it never end. In his silent penthouse, kilometers away, Mamoru-chita sat on the couch. He didn't turn on the TV. Didn't pick up a book. Didn't go to the kitchen to prepare dinner. He simply sat there, in the twilight, looking out the window. The lights of Tokyo spread before him like a blanket of artificial stars. A landscape he'd gazed upon hundreds of times, alone, in silence. But tonight was different. The silence didn't weigh on him. It was full of echoes. The echo of a laugh. Her laugh. Loud, explosive, contagious. Tosukno sang. Usage. Her name echoed in his mind like a song. He remembered the collision. The feel of her arms around his waist. The instinct that had driven him to encircle her, to protect her. The way their eyes had met. That spark. That recognition. That wordless certainty that something deep and ancient connected them. He remembered the cafe. The way she ate, with such pure, contagious enjoyment that it made the food taste better. Her innocent questions. Her refreshing honesty. Her enormous blue eyes, looking at him as if he were the most interesting thing in the universe. And he remembered his own actions. He'd ordered one of every dessert. For her. He'd wiped a smear off her face. He touched her. Without thinking. Without planning. Simply because he'd wanted to. Because something inside him had told him that this was his place. Close to her. Taking care of her. A small smile spread across his lips. Not his polite smile. Not his distant smile. A new smile. A smile that appeared only when he thought of her. Tosukno-san, usage. Today was different. Good. Very good. Will tomorrow be the same? He got up from the couch. Went to the kitchen. Opened the fridge. Inside, the ingredients for a new baking experiment awaited him. He thought about making macarons. Strawberry. Like the one she'd liked so much. Maybe I can bring her some tomorrow. To the garden. If she comes back. The idea brought a pleasant warmth to his chest. Something was changing. Something small. Something important. And for the first time in a long while, the silence of his penthouse wasn't an enemy. It was an accomplice. A silent witness to the hope beginning to bloom in his lonely heart. Neither of them knew it yet, but that afternoon, in a tiny cafe in Ezadubin, two old souls had found each other again. And this time, they were determined not to let go. End of chapter. Esta parte no importa es solo para rellenar el video que el audio nos corpo que mi editor es.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's chapter. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Deixa tudo acontecer, deixa tudo acontecer. Hoje a noite é pra gastar tudo que a gente quiser. Bebe, bebe, depois desce.